All right, everybody. Good evening. Hope you guys are still doing well today. Going through Monday, waiting for more pink slips to get handed out. It actually ended up being a little bit more peaceful today than I thought. It looks like we have everything that we're going to have until maybe next week. I could see some one and done playoff teams maybe letting their coaches go, but that's always really hard to guess ahead of time, I think, because these teams are always gonna kinda lean towards keeping their coach if they can make any justification for it, I feel like. So, we'll just have to see where that goes, but I did wanna check in real quick because we did get a, Mike Macdonald press conference a little bit ago, and he did give a little bit of information, not a lot, and there's also this, which is from a couple of days ago, I know, but, I just wanted to go ahead and point this out now because it's about to be very relevant. So I know this was a couple of nights ago, almost 48 hours old is this tweet, but it is the most recent information we have. And I was kind of hoping that we might get some injury updates from McDonald at his press conference today, but we didn't. So this is the most recent thing I have. And I haven't really talked about this yet, so it's fine. But if you were wondering about any injury updates from that game on Saturday, apparently, according to McDonald, right after the game, and he hasn't said anything to contradict this yet, everybody got out of the game good on the health front. Charles Cross and Kobe Bryant, there is optimism they will both be back for the next game. So if you were wondering what's going on there, sounds like they're going to be good to go. Charles Cross, Kobe Bryant, both look like they're going to be back for the first playoff game in, what, 13 days? Maybe 12? Either way, looks like we're good on that front, which is a relief. And I'll get into that in a second. So, going into some of the stuff that McDonald talked about today at his press conference, the schedule for the next week is going to be a little bit different than a typical week because obviously we have a week off. So, players are going to be off tomorrow, which I believe they typically are on Tuesdays anyway, right? So, that's not atypical. But they're going to practice on Wednesday and Thursday and then get kind of a 3-day weekend and then come back on Monday, by which point they'll know for sure who they're actually playing. Um, so we are going to have a relatively normal week of practice. I would not expect an injury report, though. That is one thing that I definitely would point out here. Just because we're going to get practice doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get a concrete injury report. So if we get anything, it'll probably be like vague platitudes from McDonald about where players are and whether or not they're progressing. But if there's no game, there's no need to have an actual report. So I would not expect any injury reports for the next week. So yeah, just to set expectations. Obviously, I make a video with basically every injury report that the Seahawks release, but probably not going to be any this week. So going to be a relatively chill week, although not completely inactive, and then we get back to it next week a little bit harder. So that makes sense to me. Um, McDonald also talked a little bit about how Kubiak got the interview request from Atlanta, which we knew about, but he did confirm it. He also said that Kubiak is the only member of the staff who has gotten an interview request so far. Now, this is where things get kind of interesting, right? Because we've got Aiden Durd. and we've got Leslie Frazier. Um, Obviously, we like both of those guys, but there would definitely be more of a it would be a little bit more acceptable to lose one of those guys than Kubiak because those guys do not call plays. Kubiak calls plays. So, therefore, if we lose one of those guys, there is a silver lining to that where we would gain potential draft picks if those guys actually get hired as head coaches. I know we would for Aiden Byrd, and we might for Leslie Frazier. I don't totally know how it works with the assistant head coaches, but that could be something that happens too. A 14-win team that was expected to finish third or fourth in the division is going to get a lot of positive attention to their whole staff. So it would not surprise me if other coaches than Kubiak get some interest. Really depends on how many openings there are. Right now there aren't a ton, but there could be a couple more. So we'll see where this goes. I expect Kubiak to get a lot of interest, and I expect guys like Aiden Byrd and Leslie Frazier, and for all we know, and I know this sounds a little bit out there, but what about Jay Harbaugh? Jay Harbaugh had an incredible year. John Harbaugh started out as a special teams coach, and then he went to head coach. So it's not unprecedented. Some of the better coaches in NFL history started out as special teams coaches. Don't rule it out. Don't count nothing out. So we'll see where this goes, but don't be surprised if we get rated a little bit. Like, what if some team sees John Benton and the work that he did and says, we want to make him an OC right now. Maybe we get to keep Kubiak, but we lose John Benton. Maybe we keep Aiden Byrd, but we lose somebody a little below him on the staff, like a Carl Scott. Maybe we keep Kubiak, but we lose Jake Peets. There are some possibilities here. One thing that Macdonald talked about a little bit at the press conference today, I actually wrote an On SI article about this answer. So go check that out if you haven't yet. But he was asked about not doing the barnyard play from the 1 yard line on the first drive of the game. Excuse me, where we had the first and goal. And he was actually very straight up here. He just straight up said, we probably should have done it. That's probably something we should have done in that situation. I sign off on all play calls, and I thought we had a good play call there. So he has a point because Darnold had a very easy touchdown pass on that play, and he did not throw it. The Charbonnet in the flat was wide open, but it still seems very unnecessary to even have a pass on that play at all. So hopefully he learns, and hopefully Kubiak learns from that exchange because we got away with it in that game. There could be another game down the line in the postseason. We're playing a better team. We're playing a better offense. We might not be able to get away with it. So hopefully he learns from it. But I wrote a whole article about this, so go check that out if you want to. And we also had this. This is from Brady Henderson, although it does obviously stem from Macdonald in general. Apparently, so this actually surprised me. Brady Henderson was talking a little bit about how Josh Jones has played over the last couple of games. And one thing that he pointed out here in this tweet was that early in the week, it looked really, really unlikely that he was going to be able to play. So he is very beat up right now. And this is why I say we need Charles Cross back ASAP. We need Charles Cross back because it looks like Josh Jones has utilized all of his remaining life force just to get through that Niners game because we needed him for that game. So, yeah. He is barely being held together right now, and shout out to him for holding himself together, but we got to get him some time on the sideline, so hurry back, Charles Cross. All right, that's really about it. Like I said, I was hoping for more injury updates today. Didn't happen. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Everybody have a good rest of your evening.